Welcome everyone to an episode of Trident Talks. I'm the director here at Trident, and today I'm joined by Mark Arena, the CEO of Intel471. Mark, welcome.
Thanks very much, Josh. Thanks for the opportunity.
So, Mark, as part of our kind of July series, which is all about security vendors taking investment, we were talking to business owners. You are the first person on this series, so welcome and thank you. We wanted to kind of get yourself on and really discuss kind of like general investment around cybersecurity vendors, obviously Intel471 specifically, but just kind of walk and talk us through the process, the whys, the hows, the concerns and stuff like that. So would you mind by kind of starting us off at like kind of going back to the kind of point at which you and Jason and the stakeholders on the board realize that actually we can't keep bootstrapping this. We're grinding away for 7-8 years. We need investment. Was there a point in time when you realized?
Yeah, so just to kind of give you a background, I mean, we started Intel471 about 7 or 8 years ago, and we bootstrapped it the whole way along. So bootstrapped meaning 100% funded by customer revenue, no debt, no external investment. And we were, in a space where companies had taken a lot of investment before. So our competitors some of our competitors were owned by large strategic security vendors. So we're in that area. And we thought we did pretty well. And at some point you kind of, in the stage of a company, you want to take it to the next level. And for that, it was really, we wanted to build a sales and marketing function, which is very expensive. If we look back, on the company as we started, we really spent all our money on building a really good intelligence capability and a really good technology platform. So that was a focus at the beginning. And then, like I said, we wanted to, it doesn't matter if you have the best product in the world if you don't have anybody to sell it. And I always say everybody hates salespeople, but everybody wants to get sold. So inevitably, you need a sales and a marketing function and a good and professional one. And doing that is it's invests ahead of you see the returns from it. So that was what we decided. And we decided that pre-COVID we wanted to do it. So we knew it was coming, and at what point would you do it? The market for cybersecurity companies was very hot prior to the last couple of months, but it was very hot, especially during COVID. I think COVID, heavily impacted a lot of organizations, a lot of companies, but cybersecurity and cybersecurity budgets weren't impacted as much. There was definitely like a pause in things as COVID just started, like affected everybody, but then it kind of ramped up. And I think outside capital, so private equity and VCs, so venture capitalists, really wanted to move into cybersecurity because it was still growing quite well during COVID. So that was kind of led to us deciding that it was time to make a transaction of some sort.
Cool. Nice. What type of investment have you taken?
Sure. So we took a majority investment, and that was our own choice. So majority being greater than 50%. We could have taken a minority investment if we wanted to, but we felt it was best to do a majority because a lot of firms, we were worried that if we did a minority investment, perhaps they would push things onto us to help kind of get a bigger position and get a majority of the company. So we wanted them to be aligned with us from day one doing the transaction. So we were quite open when we ran our process to do a majority investment.
It was an acquisition, right? From private equity?
Yeah, effectively it was an acquisition. If you read the press release, it made it sound like it was more of a VC style investment, but it was a majority acquisition from Thoma Bravo. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. What it feels like in the investment world, it's very kind of hush hush and very secret in regards to like how you go about it. And then all of a sudden it was boom, we're in the news and here's the press release. And everyone's like, what? Where did that come from? If you're on the outside, for obvious reasons, it has to be confidential. What's the process? So you've gone from the idea of we need it to grow our sales and marketing team. How do you get there? Like, how do you even put feelers out? Like, do you have to go for like a broker? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, so I think the first part, and it's a big part of the CEO's job in any startup, and that's keeping potential acquirers, not really private equity or VCs, but potential acquirers up to date with what you're doing. So we had consistently had meetings with corporate development people in the large security firms, large strategic security firms, meeting at RSA, Black Hat events like that, explaining how we're going, our growth, our trajectory and the business problems or the use cases we solve. So we're constantly keeping them up to date on that. But ultimately, also partnerships, key part of, companies want to buy companies they're in partnership with, especially if they have a sort of a deal where you're getting paid per client that they have. At some point, they might not want to pay you every client, and maybe they want to just buy you because it's better. So there was that. That's kind of an ongoing thing. But ultimately, it was what we started about the end of January 2021. We started the process. Prior to that, in late 2020, we started to interview investment bankers. So investment bankers are the companies that sell your company. And a good thing, like even as a CEO, I think you should really get to know the investment bankers, because they'll tell you what they're seeing, and it's like a free service in that, they always want to be talking to people like you. You get information from them, they get information from you about the market and what's happening. So keep up to date. And yeah, so we chose an investor out of that whole process, and we spoke to a number of them. We chose an investment banker, which was Cowan. And so Cowan ran the process, and they used to have an in-person event where companies could kind of pitch. You could pitch your company to a number of investors. A number of investment banks do it as well. But this was done online because of COVID, and it was the end of January or early February 2021. Okay. So that was when it began, and we just started. Hey, this is the pitch of the company. This is what we do. This is the trajectory of the business, financially, financial health, growth, retention, etc. Everything a private equity firm would need, or a strategic security vendor would need. So that's when it started, and I'll tell you, it's a lot of work. A lot of presentations, a lot of talking the same thing over and over, saying the same, keeping on message, answering the same questions over and over. You're talking, especially when you're talking with the private equity community, they might not actually, they're pretty sure not to be aware or in much detail around the sector that you're in and who your competitors are and what you do. Yeah, so it took all year. Eventually, a number of offers came in, and we were in a fortunate situation where we were able to pick who we wanted to work with. So we did have strategic security vendors at the table. They weren't at the level of the private equity people were prepared to value the company at the time. And so yeah, we're able to, of the choice, we had a number of really, really good offers. We set it in our mind what we thought was a minimum valuation we'd accept. Pretty much vast majority of the offers were well over that. So we're very, very happy with the outcome. We're able to pick who we wanted to work with at the end of the day. And, we picked Thoma Bravo, mainly because of their experience in the cybersecurity industry, the biggest private equity firm in cybersecurity. We definitely thought, given we're going to buy a majority of the company, not the whole thing, so we have a significant stake in the future success of the company, and being aligned with them, we thought would be the best way forward to kind of take us to the next level.
Amazing. Congratulations, by the way. I should have said that at the start. Obviously,
that also took all year. So we started end of January. It wasn't done until the end of September. And myself and Dina, our CFO, this is literally all we could work on. Like Jason, our COO, basically had to run the day-to-day running of the company, and this was pretty much a full-time dedicated job for both Dina and I.
After so many pitches and so many kind of slideshows and stuff, it must just be almost like robotic. Like you can just word for word, you're like, I know what question's coming now. You don't even have to ask it. I can just answer that question for you.
Yeah, and I think the most surprising one was trying to identify, when you're talking to, say, a private equity firm or a strategic, whether they're actually interested or not. Because when it came down to the people, we said who were sending us in offers or letters of intent. Sometimes you think this company's they're very interested. They're definitely going to put it in. They don't put it in. Others you don't think are too interested come in very, very strongly. So I was super surprised by that. They're very, very difficult to read.
They do it day in, day out, right? They're like the ultimate poker players. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
So what's the plan? So, well, obviously that was released back in the last year. You said the plan prior was to build, grow, sales and marketing. Is that still the plan? Is that still the drive, and why Thoma Bravo have joined you guys?
Yeah. So growth, sales and marketing growth has already happened. We have significant positions that we've hired. We still have a number of vacancies on the sales, some on the marketing side, I think, as well. We've also heavily, I think we've got about 60 vacancies on our software engineering side. Again, that wouldn't have been possible without a partner investing in Intel 471. I mean, it's the private equity handbook to do mergers and acquisitions. So obviously no surprise that a key part of my day-to-day is looking at potential companies to potentially acquire or partner with. So that's a key part of what we're doing with Thoma Bravo today.
So now you're on the other side of the fence where you're sat there and companies are pitching to you as to why they should be merging with you, basically.
Definitely, and there's
awesome.
an event on RSA on Monday at RSA Week run by the investment banking firm AGC, and I remember going to that as being on the other side of the fence, looking to try and attract the interest of private equity firms and other strategic security vendors. And yeah, now we're on the other side. We're still going to the same event, but we are trying to obviously talk to find the next up and coming Intel 471 really in a unique adjacent space to Salvatore Intelligence.
Nice, awesome. So growth through organic hiring, sales, marketing, engineering, then also potentially through mergers, acquisitions. That's a natural way of growing as well, right? Especially from VC and PE. Cool. Were there any like genuine concerns? Like, because for me, if I was to be majority owned by another company, there might be like an ego piece where I'm like, whoa, I want full control of my company, or what's going to change? Like things like metrics and reporting, I think is more Dina's bag, and I'm sure she thanks you for that and lots of those monthly reports. But were there any like genuine concerns?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest concern was we had to go from a place of no financial reporting, like I was the board, it was just me, one person, to now we have a proper board. I mean, and it has its pros and its cons. Pros is you get a different viewpoint, different ideas. Con is you need to report. So report financially. So obviously, like you said, it's resting a lot on Dina, and we have to hire people to support Dina for that, regular reporting. But I think when you do a transaction like this, when you sell a majority of your company, you certainly have to, get it in your head and really understand you are selling the company. It's not your company anymore.
Yeah.
You always want to operate like what's in the best interest of the company before, after as well. But I mean, you got to think it's not just like some rich faceless beast that owns you. Like the people and the money that goes into Thoma Bravo and other private equity firms, like pension funds, like teachers union pension funds, civil servants and things like that. So really, that's effectively what we're owned by.
Yeah, nice. And just a kind of like almost a final point, a penultimate point. With regards to like, it gets talked about a little bit, and I'm hearing it more and more, like over-investment. Do you feel like, and especially in the cybersecurity market now, post kind of COVID, where it's a big rush, is that possible? Is it possible for private equity, venture capital backed kind of vendors to be over-invested? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you think of maybe what was happening, like even up to 6 months ago, there was almost like a growth at any cost in a lot of companies.
Yeah.
So burn money like there's no tomorrow just to raise revenue. And I think Thoma Bravo, if you follow Orlando Bravo on the top, basically the top guy at Thoma Bravo, he's always posting about EBITDA and ARR. So EBITDA, basically underlying profitability of the company. And I think all kind of private equity firms and a lot of companies are really focusing on EBITDA now as well, like underlying profitability. Given the economic headwinds we're about to have, or we're already having, you don't want to be looking to raise in the next probably 18 months to 2 years. So I think there's a bigger focus on that right now. If you overinvest, if you take overinvestment, you try and do a transaction, like maybe you want to sell a majority, to de-risk it for yourself personally. If you're a founder or a CEO of a company, you might have struggled to do that because these VC firms or private equity firms, they really, they want their return, and that might make it very, very difficult for you to exit on good terms.
Yeah. Do you? Yeah, I suppose that's a good point about the overinvestment. But okay, cool. Yeah, that's really good advice, actually. So just a final point, and I appreciate obviously you're still at 471. There's still a plan. There's still you're still driving growth, and you're still a big part of the company, right? You're still chief exec. Was there, like, when it did go through and it was signed and it was, I know we spoke about this last week, was there like a like a moment, or like were you like popping, like was there champagne, was there like big celebrations, did you get that moment, or have you still got to wait until Thoma Bravo kind of get their piece back later on down the line?
Oh no, I should have had that moment. Unfortunately, myself personally, I remember when the money went into my wife and I's bank account, but it was just so much stuff to do, even post deal. So it was literally, really focused on that. I think my role has definitely changed as we've got larger, more outward facing, more talking to people like yourself. And again, focus on M&A and things like that. I'm definitely glad last year is over though, that transaction. As someone with an intelligence, background and being an intelligence professional, it's a lot more fun building capabilities, building technology focused on that problem, as opposed to working a transaction which is highs and lows for the year. But definitely learned a lot. I'll say that. Even Dina, who's been through it before with FireEye. Acquiring Mandiant, FireEye acquiring Eyesight Partners as well. So yeah, it was good.
Been a slog of a year. Well, look, thank you for joining, for kind of exposing and kind of peeling back the layers of what it's like to be acquired or have investment. And congratulations again. And it's going to be an exciting end to the year, if not busy.
Always busy, always busy.
Cool. Cheers, Mark.
All right. Thanks a lot.
See you later.
Take it easy.